playoff teams in 2022. What teams can finally make the college football playoff this season? I want to hear from you guys in the comments if I miss any teams, but I at least came up with 4. I wanted to start there. And I'll go ahead and drop the link and we can talk about this. If you give me just give me a couple minutes to kind of go over it. But I think it starts with Texas A&M. Maybe that's crazy. Oh, Texas A&M. You got teams like Alabama and Georgia. Slow your roll, but they've made it. I'm talking about teams that have yet to make the college football playoff. Whether they've been knocking on the door or not, there's a lot of teams like in A&M, because of their recruiting, they just signed what they're calling the best class ever. Maybe it needs a year or two to develop, but could they be in a position of 2021 Georgia or 2019 LSU where, I mean, are they having that offseason that's better than we think it is? Are they going in the right direction? Is Texas A&M going to have a dream season? It's a possibility. I don't want to say it's a great one, but I think there's a small chance. They were on the door a couple years ago. They probably should have got the 4th spot. It ended up going to Notre Dame. In 2020, there were quite a few teams that could have qualified. It was an asterisk spot there because, I mean, you had all the weird scheduling and COVID and conference-only football. But I think Texas A&M is definitely where you start with this list of teams. I would go number 2. Honestly, I want to look at Penn State. They're always on this list, I think, because I don't think they're a bad program. I think they're going in great I think they're going places with James Franklin. I think they're going in a good direction. They got this Drew Aller kid coming in, Sean Clifford's back for a 6th year. They got 5-star running back Nick Singleton could carry the offense. You got PJ Mustapher and company on the defensive side of the ball. They've always had some good stops on defense, some key secondary players, even though they lost a couple to the draft this year. But, I think Penn State, really, I think the only obstacle in their way is Ohio State. They're not on this list. They've made it once or twice before. Alabama's made it. Georgia's made it. Clemson's made it. But if they can find a way in Happy Valley this year, which it might even be their whiteout game, I'm not sure, but you imagine, could they upset Ohio State or let alone run the table and that be their lone loss? If they end up 11-1, even if they don't win their division, could they have a good enough schedule beating teams like Michigan State and Michigan in there, and Auburn even, at Jordan-Hare? I mean, they got a tough schedule coming up. I think I had them 11-1 or 10-2, something like that. I have them going double digits somewhere. I don't think they drop many games. Penn State's on this list too. I mean, look, they're always somewhere in a weird 9-3 to 11-1 range. Maybe 8-4 to 10-2 range. I don't know. Maybe 11-1's a bit much because otherwise they probably could have been a one-loss team in there. But I think Sean Clifford can carry the offense. I think Coach Franklin is a good recruiter, a great offensive mind, can come up with some great things to do there in Happy Valley. And we'll see what transpires there this year. But that's who's number 2 on the list. Number 3, Abram Smith left. But Baylor, they got to find a new running back. They bring back to Gary Bohannon in a passing game. You got Dave Aranda, who's figuring out some pretty good defense in the Big 12. I like Elijah Allen here. He even brings up Baylor. He says NC State, Utah, Baylor, or USC. I didn't put USC. I didn't think about them. We'll get to Utah in a second, though, because I like Cam Rising. But I think Baylor could be a great team. I think if they bring back whatever defense they had last year and they bring it in and produce here, and especially think about it like this. Texas, I don't want to put them on the list, although I like Jaleel Billingsley. And I'm really curious about Texas defense, but I think it's going to be down to Baylor and Texas for the Big 12, honestly. And I think it's going to be Baylor. And I think they need to use the advantage of Caleb Williams leaving OU and a new head coach that's a defensive mind, and Brent Venables, that's entering an offensive league, by the way. They don't play defense in the Big 12, yet you bring over a defensive-minded head coach and probably doesn't know too much about offense. And that's no knock on Brent Venables. Maybe he does. Maybe not. I don't know. But I think with a team like Oklahoma going down, that's where a team like Baylor needs to use it to their advantage and step up, go 11-1, 12-0, whatever they got to do, and win the Big 12. They have a shot. They have yet to make the college football playoff. The only other Big 12 team to do so is Oklahoma, and they're winless. Is Baylor going to have a dream season? We'll see. And then number 4 on my list, and again, I'm going to drop the link here in a second and we can talk about all these topics. But I'm going to say Utah from the Pac-12, Cam Rising and company, right? Devin Lloyd, they lost him on defense, but you got, I think, used to your advantage here, right? There's a lot of new coaches. Well, Oregon's the team to beat in the Pac-12, right? Utah, guess what? Oklahoma's got a new head coach, and Dan Lanning hasn't coached jack squat other than Georgia's defense, right? He's got Bo Nix at quarterback, who I think is good but average. That's not going to be a one-and-done setup for Oregon. That's going to take some time for sure. Utah and the Utes have to figure some stuff out. They just have that path. As Hummus Hero says, what's up, Wisconsin sports fan? I could see Utah or even USC making it in. They have an easier path than a Penn State or A&M. Yeah, I mean, I think schedule-wise, I don't think the Pac-12 is in a good shape. And Utah's just got to go out and play those teams. I mean, if they just win, and then win a Pac-12 title game 12-0 or 13-0 or 12-1, why not put a Pac-12 champion in there? Why not? In fact, one video I'm going to make too, by the way, is my preseason bowl predictions. Can I just go ahead and share with you and be honest that I do think Utah has a great shot? And is it crazy to say that I have them as one of my Final Four teams? And I'll say that. That's it for right now. Spoilers. But I really think that Utah football is in that position, right? The first-year playoff teams, what can they do? Who are the candidates? And there's teams you want to say, right? You want to say, where's Georgia? Where's Clemson? They've done it. Who has yet to make it? They just had spring camp at Utah. You lost Devin Lloyd. You lost Nephi Sewell, Vontae Davis, Brady McKinney, right? Devontae Veal is really, really great on the receiver side. Just so much about leadership on this article. Let me share with you guys here. I'll put it in the comments. But if they can just find that leadership and common ground for Utah, they can go out and win the Pac-12. And if they win the Pac-12, 1 loss to none, I see no reason to leave that out of the playoffs. Because Baylor, tell me that, I mean, who is Baylor going to face this year? Texas. Really? Quinn Ewers? Yeah, no, he's good. I don't know. But again, I say this. A list of 4 teams that I got. I mentioned Baylor is on this list. I think Utah's got a better chance. They're only listed 4 because it's what I thought of after. I listed it based on how I thought of these teams and they came into my head. So A&M, Penn State, Baylor, and Utah. I would actually flip and put Utah. I would put Utah at the top. Then maybe A&M. Well, I would go for these 4 teams. I go Utah, Penn State, A&M, and Baylor. So there's my assessment there on what teams could be first-year playoff teams here in 2022 for college football. So.